So now I'm going to record Menvavim at Beis, the second part of the Shir. Rami le Abai le Rabba. Abai asked Rabba, Tanya, we learned in a Brisa, Moiser Hashemen shebener v'shebekara osir. If you have any leftover oil in a lamp or in a bowl, it's osir, because mikud is katsoy lebein hashmoshes is katsoy lekuli yoyim. Reb Shimon matter, Reb Shimon is matter. The lamp he holds is not, he doesn't hold the muktzah machmas miyas, and he doesn't hold the mikud is katsoy. Alma, so you see, Reb Shimon less than muktzah. Reb Shimon doesn't hold the muktzah. I'm going to ask you a contradiction from a Mishnah in Masechtas Beya, Daf Chavav, where it talks about a man had a bechor. He had an animal which was a bechor, and a bechor is supposed to be a korban, but there's no Beis Hamikdash. There's nothing you can do with it until it gets a mum. So Reb Shimon says, Kol shein mumay nikar me'erev yontif. If you weren't able to identify the mum from erev yontif, ein zemen amuchan. So you can't shecht it on yontif when it develops a mum, because it wasn't ready. You weren't prepared to use it in erev yontif, because erev yontif, to the best of your knowledge, it didn't have a mum, which means that you were maktzit midatcha. You had set it aside and had no plan of using it. So you see, Reb Shimon does hold the muktzah. So Gemara once again says, Hachi hashta, there's no comparison. Hasam adam yoshev v'metzape emasai tich b'neiroi. As we said so many times, according to Reb Shimon, when somebody lights candles on Friday evening for Shabbos, he knows it's going to last 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So by 10, 11, 12 o'clock, the candles will be out. And therefore, it was his plan that if there's any oil left, he's going to use it. And he doesn't hold migud is katzoy leben hashmoshes, is katzoy lekula yaima. But you remember we said that what happens if somebody had a large bowl or container of oil with a wick in it, and it went out during Shabbos, Reb Shimon agreed you couldn't use the rest of the oil, because the man had anticipated that he would never be able to use this oil on Shabbos, it was going to burn all Shabbos. So here as well, Hacha Adam Yoshev v'Metzapeh Masay Yipol B'Mum. Can we say that a person is going to anticipate Me'erev Yontif, that a mum is going to come into his Bechar? How does he know that a mum is going to come? Meimar Omer Mi Yemer Denafel Beimuma. He wonders, will a mum even come on this animal? Im Timtzel Lemer Denafel Beimuma. Mi Yemer Denafel Beimum Kavua. Even if a mum does come on the animal, who says it'll be a permanent mum which allows it to be slaughtered out of the Mikdash? Im Timtzel Lemer Denafel Beimum Kavua. Mi Yemer Demizdakek Lechacham. Who says the Chacham is going to be willing to look at the mum? You have to have a ruling from a Chacham that the mum is a mum kavua. So therefore, Me'erev Yontiv, the man has really set this out of mind, and therefore Shimon agrees that that's muktzah. Like Gregor's, it's mukim that's totally muktzah, anyway. So it's the man didn't have a thought in his head that this would be able to be available to him on Yontiv, whereas the oil that's left in a lamp is possible. Masav Rami Bar Chama, so Rami Bar Chama asks a kasha from a Mishnah later in Daf Kuf Nun Zayin. Mefirin nedarim b'Shabbos, a husband can be made for his wife's neder on Shabbos. V'nisholin l'nedarim, and you can go to a chacham also to be mater neder. Shein l'tzarech haShabbos, as long as it's for the need of Shabbos, you need it for Shabbos. So let's say a woman, made a neder, she's not going to eat kugel on Shabbos. So the husband is allowed to be made for the neder b'Shabbos because it's l'tzarech haShabbos. But my lema miyemer the mizdaka global. How can the woman now eat the kugel? Now again, you have to watch it. The shaila is not let the kugel be muktzah, because since everybody else is allowed to eat the kugel, so the kugel is not muktzah. But the woman herself, since in her mind she had made a neder that she's not going to eat kugel, and she had no idea that her husband would be made for the neder, so for her the kugel should be muktzah for her for all of Shabbos, and she shouldn't be able to eat it, not handle it, but eat it. And the Gemara answers that a woman is different. Hasam keder Ravi Pinchas mishmei derava. Ravi Pinchas made a famous statement in the name of Rava. The Omer of Pinchas mishmei derava kol hanederes al das bali nederes. When a woman makes a neder, she makes a neder on the condition that her husband will be satisfied. So therefore, she knows that the husband may and will be interested in her welfare and will be mater her neder for her. So it's not like a chacham who says the chacham is going to care about the mum in my bechar and paskin her on yontif. A woman anticipates that the husband will have an opinion about the neder she made on the kugel, and therefore it's considered anticipated, and Reb Shimon would be mater. Tashema, another proof, nishalul l'nedarim shel tzarech haShabbos b'Shabbos. Besides for the husband, you can go to a chacham to be mater your neder on Shabbos if you need it for Shabbos. You made a neder against Sholem, so you can go to chacham, the chacham will be mater your neder. The same way that a Chacham may not care about the Bechor, the same way Chacham might not care about your Cholent. So therefore, how can the Chacham be matir the neder on Shabbos? Hasam, because by Nedorim, Elohim is dakik lechacham, sagile b'shloish adyotis. If you can't find the Chacham who's going to care about my Cholent, but I can go to any three people, and three people could also be matir neder. But Hocha, by a Bechor, you have to have a Chacham muvak to paskin that a mum is a mum kavua. Is miyemer the mizdakik lechacham. Who says that I'll find, or a Chacham will care to paskin on a mum kavua yantiv? But on Nedorim, a husband will be made for his wife's Nedorim, and if not a Chacham, Shlosh Yoitis will be willing to matir your neder. So the Tzarech HaShabbos you can be made for or matir the neder, and it's not also for the rest of Shabbos, because according to Reb Shimon, a person was anticipating, a woman was anticipating, or a person was anticipating that it's going to become mutter. Rami le Abai le Rav Yosef. Abai asked Rav Yosef Akasha, Reb Shimon kavsa mutter l'taltala. We've said it so many times. Once the lamp goes out, Reb Shimon says you're allowed to manipulate the lamp. He doesn't hold the muktzah machmas miyas, and he doesn't hold the migadis katzoi. Kavsa in loy kavsa loy. Only if it went out, then you can handle it. But while it's burning, not. My tama, why? Dilma bahadi dinakad lo kavsa. Because maybe while you're handling the lamp, you might extinguish it, and that's bad. But Hashamina le Reb Shimon domer davar shem ischav mutter. Reb Shimon holds if you do something unintentionally, it's mutter. The Tanya Reb Shimon Omer, Geirer Adam mit kisei mita v'safsel. How many times have we learned? Reb Shimon allows you to drag a bench across a earthen floor as long as it wasn't your intention to make a ridge, because an unintentional malacha doesn't count. So here also, if a person would have extinguished by mistake, would have extinguished the fire and the lamp that he's moving, so it also is davar shem ischavim. So why would Reb Shimon ask her moving the lamp? So Reb Yosef tries, and he says, well, kol heicha de mechi mechaven iki surah deraisa, ki loy mechaven gozer Reb Shimon. No. Extinguishing is a malacha deraisa. So therefore, if the possibilities of a malacha deraisa, Reb Shimon is machmer, even if it's a davar shem ischavim. But midirabanan, kol heicha, gozer Reb Shimon midirabanan. So Reb Shimon says, midirabanan, you shouldn't manipulate this lamp, because if you put it out, it might be an isser deraisa. Just a minute. But kol heicha dechi mechaven iki isur derabanan is kiloi mechaven shor Reb Shimon lekatchila. But regarding making a ridge in the ground, even if you were to make the ridge in the ground, it's only an isur derabanan. Why? Even though baina in interior of a house or chayrish in a field is an isur deraisa, but you're doing it in an unusual manner. So doing chayrish or baina in an unusual manner is already midirabanan. Is therefore kiloi mischaven. If it's unintentional, Reb Shimon is matir lekatchila. So again, Rav Yosef is attempting to differentiate between handling a lit lamp and dragging a bench. Dragging a bench, even if you intended to do it, it's only derabanan. But by extinguishing, even if you do it, it's an issa deraisa. But l'chayr, if you extinguish it, it's not really an issa deraisa, because it's only an issa deraisa when you're mechaba, if you're intending to make a coal or a blackened wick. Here, it's not your intention to make a blackened wick. But it means to say that if the malacha, if it's possible that this will be an Issa Deraisa, because extinguishing could be an Issa Deraisa if it was your intention to make a blackened wick, so Reb Shimon is geyser. But if even if you intended to make the ridge, it would only be a Derabanan, Reb Shimon is not geyser. But the Rava shoots it down. Masav Rava asks the kasha, Moichrei Ksus Moichren Kedarkan. We had this a couple of days ago, that people who are selling garments that have shatnas can sell shatnas garments to goyim. As long as when you're putting on the jacket in order to model it for your customer, you shouldn't have intent to benefit, to use it to cover you from the sun or to protect you from the rain, because it is shatnas. But as long as it's unintentional, Reb Shimon holds its mutter. But the people that are very religious, very makbid, would hold it on a stick, but they wouldn't actually put it on in order to wear. Here, if you're mechaven to wear the shatnas, it is a deraisa. And if it's a davar shem is chaver, Reb Shimon is matir, even lekatchila. So Reb Shimon here is matir to do a davar shem is chaven, even though if you would be mechaven, it's a deraisa. So why does Reb Shimon prohibit you from handling a lit candelabra or a lit lamp if if it's a davar shem is chaven, and if you put it out. So now the Gemara comes to the pshat that we've talked about many times. Elamarav Rav says hanach lener shemen upsila hal denasa bases ledavar aser. It's not because he might put it out. It's because the fire, the flame, is a davar ha'aser. We'll get to that in a second. So therefore, the lamp and the wick and the oil are all the buses to that fire. And even the Reb Shimon doesn't hold of muktzah, but here's another one that he holds of. He holds of the muktzah of the flame. Why is the flame muktzah? So it's not clear, but it seems that the pshat is, I think the Chazon Ish says, because it's not an object. The flame is neither a utensil nor a food nor any object, and therefore being a non-object, it is automatically muktzah. And therefore everything that's supporting that flame is now a basis l'davar muktzah. And it's very clever why the Gemara said that the oil and the wick, because if the wick would be a basis to the flame and be muktzah, but the oil would not, then the nair would now be holding both a non-muktzah and muktzah item, and then it wouldn't be muktzah either. But since both the oil and the wick are a basis to the flame, so they're both muktzah, so the nair is now a basis to them, and everything is a basis l'davar aser, and that's where Reb Shimon doesn't allow you to be metaltalit when it's lit on Shabbos. On the other hand, on Yontif, you wouldn't mind if you handled it, because there the flame is not considered muktzah, since you're allowed to use the flame in order to light other flames. So the flame wouldn't be muktzah, and therefore the candlestick wouldn't be muktzah either, and I'm not concerned about your extinguishing it, because according to Reb Shimon, davar shem is chaven is mutter. By the way, I think the Mishnah Berurah Paskins, Shulchan Aruch Paskins, and today our kalim, our candelabras or our cups, are not really meant to disassemble, even if they could be disassembled. But it's hard to disassemble them. So therefore, according to Reb Shimon, you would be allowed to be metaltalit l'tzarech gufa l'tzarech mekaymai, because it is a keli, and we're not chayish that it'll fall apart and you'll assemble it again. So kol tiv, and I hope everybody stays healthy, and whoever needs a refuah shalema should have a refuah shalema. Kol tiv.